published 1649 est. The 4th of January the 2018 updated 0336 est. The 5th of January the 2018 as David Moyes scowled and growled orders, cajoling his West Ham team from the touchline. He seemed positively at one with his new casting as the scourge of the Big Six. Moyes has taken points from Chelsea, Arsenal and now Tottenham during 2 months in the job, and he managed to give Manchester City a fright on their own turf. It was not pretty last night, not in the slightest, despite 2 of the sweetest strikes from long range you are likely to see. Son Heung-min scored a brilliant equaliser to ensure that Tottenham left with a point from the derby clash at Wembley. The Korean strike came as Tottenham looked to be losing their way and West Ham were en route to a shock victory. Pedro Obiang celebrates scoring the goal to make it 10 to West Ham as they stunned rivals Tottenham at Wembley. Obiang stunned Tottenham with fabulous strike from all of 30 yards that beat Hugo Lloris and silenced Wembley. Spurs star Harry Kane looks dejected on a night he and his teammates were largely frustrated by their London rivals. Impressive youngster Declan celebrates with Adrian post-match, having both been key in the Hammers getting a point. 20 minutes of shapeless mayhem was preceded by 70 minutes of tedious order as West Ham came to frustrate Spurs and then took an improbable lead from a screamer unleashed by Pedro Obiang. It was the first attempt at goal from the visitors and would remain their only shot on target of the whole game. For most of the contest, Moyes barely let his players venture out of their own half. They sat deep, declined possession, rolled up their sleeves and hurled their bodies between the ball and their goal. To their credit, it worked. Tottenham batted away, slowly becoming weary from making all the running and then stung by the psychological blow of a breathtaking goal, whistled into the top corner by Obiang from 30 yards. "We've only had one shot," crowed the West Ham fans as they rejoiced. Star striker Harry Kane hooks the ball goalwards in the early stages of the London derby contest at Wembley. Irons keeper Adrian gets his bearings a little wrong under pressure as he grabs Shiko Yates' head instead of the ball. The top tier of Wembley was looking rather bare as the away fans were consigned a comparatively meagre allocation. Spurs boss Mauricio Pochettino responded by throwing on more attackers and his team poured forward, refusing to give up. By the end of the game, Pochettino's team had registered 31 attempts at goal and only one of them beat Adrian to find the net. That one came from Son Heung-min, 6 minutes from time, and it was every bit as spectacular as Obiang's. Having spent most of the night trying to wriggle through the massed ranks of claret and blue, Son went for goal from distance with a right-foot shot that faded from Adrian's reach to find the top corner. In truth, this derby was not worthy of 2 goals of such blistering brilliance, but no one was complaining, having endured what came before. Tottenham star Dele Alli goes to ground after pressure from Arthur Masuaku as the pressure from the hosts mounted. Christian Eriksen was called upon to be the creative fulcrum for Tottenham. Here he tries to cross past Manuel Lanzini. Kane attempts to hook a shot goal as Spurs find the path to an opener. A treacherous one in the first half at Wembley. West Ham manager David Moyes and assistant Stuart Pearce discuss tactics in the dugout as their side frustrates Spurs. Spurs did not deserve to be beaten, although 2 dropped points does little to help their quest for a place in the top 4. They are 5th as the Premier League pauses for the FA Cup 3rd round. West Ham climb a point closer to their survival target and have lost only 1 of the last 7 games in the league. Suddenly, they are only 3 points from 10th, which is a tribute to the job done by Moyes since he replaced Slaven Bilic in November. The job is not done by any means, but the Hammers are accumulating points and are hard to beat, and the manager appears most comfortable when setting out to be solid against the best teams. The next 3 fixtures in the Premier League are against Huddersfield, Bournemouth and Crystal Palace. Spurs would often find themselves crowded out by West Ham's deep back line. Here Eriksen struggles to get a shot off. Son Heung-min was in elusive form on the Tottenham left but found himself up against a wily customer in Pablo Zabaleta. There were near misses for Spurs in the first half, but they could not find a breakthrough. Here the ball just escapes Kane right at the end of the first half. Adrian was forced into some serious action as he tipped Eriksen's shot over the crossbar. Tottenham were working hard to stretch the game but struggling to break their opponents down. Here Ali chases a loose ball at Wembley. West Ham sat deep from the outset and braced themselves for a long night on the back foot, with 5 at the back, 3 industrious midfielders and Manuel Lanzini in support of Javier Hernandez. Hernandez started ahead of Andy Carroll, who came on to lend his physical menace to a manic closing phase, the sort that has become the hallmark of the festive schedule. Tottenham's challenge was to pierce the defensive shield, and they thought they had a lucky break in the first half when Winston Reid sliced across hot from Harry Kane into his own net, only for the striker to be correctly ruled offside. Kane, back in the team after a heavy cold forced him to start on the bench at Swansea on Tuesday, and Son forced Adrian to make 2 saves in quick succession, and Christian Eriksen fizzed one past his post from 25 yards. Javier Hernandez was furrowing a lone brow in attack for West Ham. The Mexican striker mostly fed off scraps. Kane was reduced to firing hopeful efforts from long range. This shot in the second half sailed over the crossbar. The Irons were throwing themselves at everything in order to keep Tottenham out. Here Son sees a goal-bound effort blocked. Ali gets in a header at goal as Tottenham continue to knock on the door. The effort would go wide as the Iron held firm after half an hour of constant pressure and intricate passing patterns. Spurs had more joy cutting through West Ham with a direct approach. A long ball launched out of defence by Jan Vertonghen was headed across the front of goal by Serge Aurier, back in the team and storming into an advanced position from right back. The crowd expected a goal as it dropped to Kane in front of goal, but for once his touch failed him and the ball rolled wide. Obiang lets fly from distance to put West Ham ahead with what would be their only shot on target all night at Wembley. Adrian, who had been by far the busier of the two keepers, pumps his fist after seeing his teammate fire the Irons ahead. Kane finds himself surrounded by opposing defenders as the prolific hitman tried to get his side back into the game. Son hit back for Spurs in the 84th minute to set up a frenetic finale as West Ham ultimately held firm to secure a draw. Adrian's handling was untidy at times, but he warmed to the barrage of activity, as goalkeepers so often do, turning over a deflected shot from Eriksen as the interval approached. Little changed in the second half as Kane lashed another effort wide from distance and Son was denied by a block from Angelo Ogbonna as Dele Alli became more influential. The home fans were starting to show signs of anxiety even before Obiang stepped forward to change the game. Son replied in kind with his 6th goal in his last 9 appearances and Tottenham went for the win. West Ham hung on for the final whistle and survived an enthusiastic penalty appeal after an aerial collision between Adrian and Ali. Referee Mike Dean, who sparked controversy when awarding a penalty for West Bromwich against Arsenal, gave nothing. The visitors went home with a point and Moyes reinforced his claim to a contract beyond the end of the season.